I've been using concrete blocks to build raised beds for decades. They're very inexpensive, they're long lasting. If I want to reconfigure my garden, they're easy to use and repurpose for other projects. The area here that I'm working on, I've made a number of beds like this. They're only going to be one high. I'm going to use 6 blocks, and it's going to be just small enough to plant a vining plant. So I'll have a vining plant coming up here, and I want the ground to be covered. I have an issue with gophers and moles. So the gophers are the main problem. So I want the wire to sit like that. This is heavy duty wire. If you were going to get heavy wire, I would buy the heaviest wire that you can find. Chicken wire rusts out too quick. To prepare the surface, I used a concrete trowel just to level it out. So once I've got it roughly level, just check it with a level, make sure everything's right. Then I lay the wire down, and I use that just to level it out a little bit more. So I've got these 2 blocks roughly in the center. I'll put the wire roughly in the center. I'm not worried too much about that being that accurate. So now I've got that. It's just a matter of moving the blocks in position. And I'll just do the other side now. And that's it. So now I've got a couple of growing spaces. I've got the center, which measures 16 inches by 16. So that's just big enough to put my vining plant. I put the wire on the bottom, that's going to protect most of the roots. The roots can travel into the ground, and there'll still be some soil in here, so some of the surface roots will be protected. I've also got these growing spaces. So I've got 6 by 5, and they're useful for growing other plants. To protect the soil from the concrete, I'm going to use some black plastic sheeting. This is 6mm, it's extra heavy duty. I've already pre-cut some of these pieces. So for the pockets, I've cut some pieces like that. The blocks are 8 by 16. The fold lines in the sheeting are 8 inches, so that makes it easy to cut. That's the right depth for this block. If I'm going to do anything deeper, of course I'm going to double up and count across 2 lines. Now to fill the pockets, simply a matter of rolling up the sheeting, dropping it in, and working it around till it's on the outside. The black plastic sheeting is going to create a moisture barrier, because if you use the concrete blocks without any moisture barrier, it'll tend to wick moisture from the soil, and it also can raise the pH of the soil. So within a couple of inches of the concrete, it may raise the pH a little. It's not that important in a larger space like this, but for a small space like that, it's a little more important. So now I'm just going to fill it with my pre-mixed potting soil. So this is the type of soil that I use in my totes and in my pots. It's a mixture of broken down wood chips and the native clay soil. So I can just drop that in. So I filled that first pocket. For the centre here, I've got a longer piece and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just push it around. Once I've got it roughly in place, I'm just going to fill it with soil. So that's about 10 gallons of soil. So these are 5-gallon buckets. Once I water it in, it'll settle a little bit and I might have to top it up a little more. I have found that if I cover the plastic in soil, it's going to last a lot longer. If it's exposed to the atmosphere, it'll break down within a couple of years. The soil keeps it moist and protects it really well. In the centre, I'm going to plant jackfruit, which is a perennial vine. In these outer pockets, I'll be growing annuals, marigolds and borage. Technically they're annuals, but they will act like perennials by reseeding and regrowing next year. There are a few reasons why I prefer using concrete blocks over lumber. Concrete will last a lifetime, the blocks are easier to assemble, and also they won't rot or be eaten by termites. So before I finish, I'm just going to use this soil to fill up the other holes. I'll show you what I'm going to do after that. So I'm filling these halfway up. I'll just remove some of this soil so it's about halfway down. Now the next step I'm going to do is compost in place. This is a form of trench composting. I'm just going to cut up some of the trimmings from my garden. So this is artichoke, just some leafy greens, got some cannas, if I cut them down a little bit, there's going to be a little more surface area and they'll break down quicker. I like using large leafy green plants for composting. I'm using cannas today. They grow very fast. Sometimes I'll use tree collards. Anything that's got a broad leaf on it tends to compost well. A few pieces of grass are okay as long as the seeds haven't set. Now I'll just add some soil on top. I'm not going to fill it all the way to the top. I just want to leave enough room so that when I pour water in there with the hose, it's going to soak in. The last lot of soil that I'm putting in has a lot of earthworms. I've had it in a bucket with some holes drilled out the bottom, and that way the earthworms can build the soil up a bit. Now we've got quite a few earthworms here, so that'll seed the bed. So that job's done. So now I've got a nice level raised bed. The wire underneath will act like a snowshoe and will stabilise the blocks. If I was going to stack them too high or higher, I've got another way of doing that. But for something this low, the wire on the bottom, will, like I said, will act like a snowshoe and make it very stable. Now that it's got soil in, it's not going to shift. So that's my raised bed done. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to leave a comment on maybe how you've used concrete blocks in the past and how successful you've been with them, feel free to leave a comment. With that, thanks for watching, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Goodbye.